Welcome to the Crimson Dossier. Every case has a file. Not every file has answers. Part 1. Imagine calling the police about a murder, and the killer is the one who shows up to investigate. That's not a plot twist from a crime thriller. That's what happened in Angarsk, a small industrial city in Siberia, for nearly 20 years. His name was Mikhail Popkov. His colleagues called him Misha the Smile. And while he was earning promotions inside the Soviet militia, he was also becoming the deadliest solo serial killer in the history of Russia, and one of the top 4 in the entire world. 86 confirmed victims, possibly more. This is the Angarsk Maniac. To understand how Popkov was able to kill for so long, you need to understand the city he lived in. Angarsk was founded after World War II as a Soviet industrial hub in eastern Siberia, the kind of place that exists because someone in Moscow decided it should. Cold, isolated, built around factories and surrounded by correctional colonies, the hard labor kind. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, those colonies didn't disappear, but the control did. Former prisoners flooded the city. Dozens of criminal gangs took over the streets. Residents remembered shootouts between rival groups as something so routine, they barely looked up from their windows. Bodies in the forests outside the city? Nobody was surprised. Nobody asked too many questions. It was, in every sense, the perfect place for a predator to hide. Origins. Mikhail Popkov was born in March 1964 in Norilsk, a city so far north it makes Siberia look temperate. His parents left shortly after for Angarsk, but they didn't take him with them. He was raised by his grandparents, waiting for years to be called home. When he finally joined his family, just in time for school, he discovered he now had a younger sister who seemed to get all the attention he'd been starved of. On one occasion, he was sent to a pioneer summer camp. Other children got weekend visits from their parents. Popkov got nothing. He eventually ran away. When he got home, he found his parents drunk, and his mother with another man. He tried, by all accounts, to be a good son anyway. He studied hard. He played sports, biathlon, cross-country skiing. He helped around the house and even assisted his father digging graves at the local cemetery. After school, technical college, then the army, then a string of jobs: firefighter, taxi driver, gravedigger again. In 1987, an old classmate changed everything. The man worked in the transport militia, the Soviet equivalent of a transit police force, and casually mentioned the pay was the same as factory work. But the hours were better and the benefits were solid. Popkov replied. Within months, he was a junior sergeant at the Angarsk station. His colleagues adored him. Friendly, helpful, always smiling. Misha the Smile, they called him. He married at 22, had a daughter he worshipped, kept the apartment spotless, cooked, fixed things, showed up. By every external measure, he was the model Soviet man. Then, in 1992, the floor fell out. Popkov was working a 24-hour shift when he got a rare chance to duck home and eat. Near the entrance to his building, he found his 5-year-old daughter, alone in the cold. She told him her mother had sent her outside because a man had come to visit. He went upstairs. The guest was already gone, but the evidence wasn't. Popkov confronted his wife. She claimed she'd been forced. He didn't believe her. He later said the only reason he didn't kill her that night was their daughter. He refused to leave the girl without a parent, and he couldn't raise her alone while holding down a job. The colleague responsible got a fist in the face the next time Popkov saw him. His wife quit her job the following day and took a position at the local passport office, close enough to stay in her husband's sight. The marriage continued, but something had broken inside Mikhail Popkov, and in the months that followed, it would begin to leak. The first murder happened that same year, 1992. 5 in the morning, Popkov was driving a militia Niva, the Soviet-era four-wheel drive that was standard issue across Russian law enforcement, on a routine errand. He spotted a woman walking along toward the train station. He offered her a ride. She accepted. She was his first victim. He raped and killed her, left the body near the station, and returned to his shift. Hours later, he rode out again with the investigative team to the crime scene he had just created. That became the pattern. In the evenings, Popkov offered unofficial taxi rides, common practice in Russian cities where licensed cabs were scarce. He would find a lone woman, start a conversation, make a suggestion. Those who agreed didn't come home. Those who refused, he drove them safely to their destination. This was not random violence. Popkov had a logic, as grotesque as it was. He believed he was cleaning the city. Women who would sleep with a stranger deserved to die. Prostitutes he left alone. They were honest about what they were. It was the ones he saw as hypocrites, the ones like his wife, who became his targets. His weapons came from the militia's own confiscated stockpile. Knives, screwdrivers, axes, rope, taken quietly, used, and returned or discarded. He knew exactly how investigations worked. He knew what to avoid leaving behind. It wasn't until late 1998, 6 years into the killings, that police in Angarsk officially acknowledged they had a serial killer. By then, 24 deaths had been attributed to one unknown suspect. 2 separate task forces were assembled. Both failed. One reportedly lost part of the evidence. The case eventually reached the General Prosecutor's office in Moscow, which sent in Mikhail Popkov, an investigator who had successfully prosecuted the serial killer Vasily Kulik in 1988. Kataev arrived and quickly concluded that the local investigation had been badly mismanaged. A survivor who had given a detailed description of the attacker had been completely ignored. Kataev was later succeeded by Valery Kostarev, the man who had built the case against the serial killer known as Fisher. Kostarev's team made the first real breakthroughs. The killer drove a Niva. A button from a militia uniform was found at one crime scene, and biological material recovered from 3 victims matched a single unknown individual. From there, investigators built a list of suspects. It started at 30,000 names. After initial screening, it narrowed to 354. Every person on that list needed to provide a DNA sample. Mikhail Popkov was on the list. By the time investigators got to him, Popkov had been out of the militia for years. He'd been fired from a security company after being caught stealing. He was making money driving graves and ferrying cars from Vladivostok. When detectives asked for a saliva sample, he agreed immediately. He had every legal right to refuse. The results took a month to come back. They were a match. On June 23, 2012, Mikhail Popkov was arrested on a train, on his way to pick up another car. He offered no resistance, and in the police station that same evening, he began to confess. What followed was one of the most disturbing series of confessions in Russian criminal history. Popkov remembered everything: the time of night, the weather, which weapon, every detail, preserved with perfect clarity across decades. He also knew how to stretch the process, drip-feeding new admissions to keep investigators coming back, to guarantee himself trips outside the walls of his cell for crime scene verification. In 2015, he was convicted of 22 murders and 2 attempted murders, and sentenced to life imprisonment. Then he kept talking. After the verdict, he confessed to 59 more killings. A second trial in 2018 added those to the record, and finally stripped him of his militia rank and the pension he had been collecting the entire time. In 2020, 2 more. In 2023, 2 more again. In 2025, 1 more. A woman he had argued with near a water pumping station, killed with a hatchet, her body burned. The final count across 4 separate verdicts, 86 victims. He stopped killing in 2011, he says, not out of remorse, but because illness made it impossible. Investigators believe he contracted syphilis from one of his victims. He has given numerous interviews from prison. He smiles in most of them. He once suggested he would like to go fight in Ukraine, though, he noted, he'd prefer to wait until the weather warmed up. If you found this case as disturbing as we did, and as important, subscribe to the Crimson Dossier. New episodes every day. The archive of Soviet and Russian crime history is long. We're just getting started.